We want to welcome you this morning to our Drainage District Board of Directors meeting for today, September the 30th, 2014. President our Commissioner Cuellar, Precinct 1, Palacios, Precinct 2, and myself, we have a quorum. Anything under open forum?
Yes, sir. I signed up to give the board an update.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Judge, Commissioners, as usual, we had another event this weekend of rain. We were fortunate enough the system went fine. We did have one issue in one location, which was on Hohen Drive subdivision over on Monte Cristo. And it's not that the district system didn't work. The system worked. However, there was an excessive amount of water coming from the north side of Monte Cristo from all the agricultural area that ran south. And it hit on Monte Cristo, jumped over Monte Cristo, and started impacting some homes in Hohen Drive subdivision. Commissioner Joseph Palacios' staff responded to it. The district responded to it. We put additional pumps to relieve the water. At the direction of the commissioner, we have the engineer and we have a staff meeting set up for tomorrow to start looking at what options can be done in this area. This particular area has been a problem since I remember back 20, 25 years based on the volume of water coming from the north side of all the agricultural. And a lot of that area now has been cleared out. The trees are gone. They're replanting. So it's just a tremendous flow coming south. But otherwise, the system that overall worked fine. There was a small incident on our main floodwater channel. One of the waterline crossings for North Alamo collapsed. North Alamo contracted out with a contractor with equipment to go pick up the casing out of the system where it just collapsed into it. But otherwise, the system worked fine. Everything seems to be working properly. And again, just keep our fingers crossed on the rain coming down in a manageable type environment. And that's it, sir.
Thank you, sir. Our consent agenda, any concerns?
There are no concerns, Judge.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The annual report.
I believe
item
Paul's
4.
going to be giving that to y'all, sir.
We need that for commissioners to approve it.
Yeah, my understanding, Steve said that
Judge, Commissioners, with respect to item 5, there is an item under item 5 where we will have to have a record vote, and you need at least 4 members present for that record vote.
We're going to skip over
So we'll
5
skip
and
over,
6.
okay. All right, thank you.
One guy.
Do you want to give the report on 4?
Yes.
Or do you need a...
I'm going to go ahead and do a
Oh, okay.
PowerPoint presentation. Reset. Okay. So just, yeah. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here in front of you to give you the annual report for the Hidalgo County Drainage District number 1. I believe you have that in front of you and also on the PowerPoint. On tab number 1, the current delinquent and rollback collections, total collected for 2013-2014 Drainage District was a total of $26,546,776.60. Disbursements, under disbursements, total revenue disbursed to the Drainage District was $26,302,066.15 for a total disbursement of $26,546,776.61. Under the 2013 current collections, for 2012-2013, last year we collected $18,440,637.14. For the current year, we collected $24,302,605.84. That's a total increase from last year of $5.8 million for the Drainage District, which is was a good year. There's the 5-year comparison chart for our collections. In 2009, we collected 90.43%. 2010, 91.56%. 2011, 92.90%. 2012, 93.03%. And 2013, 93.38%. So we've been increasing throughout the years, which is great. And I attribute that to my staff and always giving good customer service to our community of Hidalgo County. Under the delinquent collections for 2011 and prior years.
Hold
on, Paul.
On the previous slide.
Yes, on the comparison, the 5-year chart?
Right.
Yes, sir.
To what do you attribute the difference or the increase in the collection of taxes?
Well, every year, I guess we work harder as we go on. I know that the levy did increase for 2013, so we didn't collect more. But every year, we do the current collections in November. We do it in January. We also go ahead and we can do the top 5,000 taxpayers, just advising them that January 1st is coming around for them to try to make sure they pay their taxes. Of course, we also put it on the newspaper, advising them that not to try to pay before the delinquency date. We do mail-outs in February. We do mail-outs in March, also in April and May. The May resolution from
these are delinquent taxes that are collected by your office before
Yes.
they go to the lawyer.
Correct. Yeah, these are the current years before up to June 30th. So we work these accounts. Of course, we also make contact with people, and we try to do it up to June 30th so we can collect as much as we can. So I think good hard work from my staff, and also the taxpayers. They've been very responsible, and I want to let them know that we appreciate that.
Go ahead.
On the delinquent from 2011 and prior, the delinquent collections to date last year was 1.258 million. This year was 1,230,000, a little bit less than last year, but the levy did go up, so I think it was a good year also. Under the 5-year comparison for the Drainage District on the attorneys, 2008 and prior, it was 35.96, 2009 and prior, 36.06, 2010 and prior, it's 34.85, 2011 and prior, 32.39, and 2012 and prior, 31.61. The next tab, pretty much that concludes our report. It's just the
Thank you, sir.
detail of it. Thank you very much.
Do we need action to approve this thing?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, Paul. All right, at this time, we would move on to item number 6.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Item 6 is an item that's, Mr. Garza? Item 6 is direction and action that was taken by the court. We have gotten the response. This is, we had awarded a bid to the Lee Law Firm, and this was for legal services for the review and report of an agreement between the Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 and Intech Corporation. And so at this time, this is the final negotiated document. I am asking the court to accept and approve, as stated, no less than 30 days, the time frame being, that was a sticking point, no less than 30 days, but no more than 100 days for a final document to bring back to the Board of Directors.
Is there any questions? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
I thought we had approved a couple of weeks ago or something, 30-day contract.
If I can recap, yes, the board had approved a letter of engagement subject to the inclusion of the
Right.
30-day term of engagement to produce the report. The analysis and what the Lee Law Firm has done is sent us back notice that they have, due to litigation calendar or other commitments, they're requesting that the board from the Drainage District consider revising the term to, as the word states, and it's from their letter, no less than 30 with no more than 100 days.
Marty, my only question will be, when we went out to select firms, I know we looked at, time was a very critical
Yes, sir.
component. Now we're looking at increasing the time.
Yes, and
Does that, I'm just going to ask a legal question in regards to, I know there was another firm in consideration.
neither legal counsels have opined on this project. They have both requested not to be, as far as the form of the letter of engagement. I will tell you that within and embedded in the RFQ, there is a provision that it be 30 days unless otherwise opted by the board.
Or by the board.
By the board. So what he is doing, he's asking the board to consider, and his last correspondence to the board on a Friday, I believe, was that let's see, it says here,
Yeah.
you may permit me to.
For the record, we've been joined by Commissioners Palacios, Precinct 4, and Commissioner Flores, Precinct 3.
I believe they give a time of October 11th to start, as opposed to just the 30 days, but no more than 100. Now, certainly, I'm sure that if they can produce it before that time, they will. But that is what they're asking the court to consider, the board to consider. Whether the board can deny it, we would have to go out again.
Right.
Because we only had one participant.
Yes.
Right.
And again, that was the issue. You had one participant. The board did, a couple weeks ago, you are correct, Commissioner. The board, a couple weeks ago, said, you know, we want to get this done as quickly and as we can, 30 days. But there is, as Ms. Salazar just stated, there was some language in there, unless otherwise negotiated or approved by the board. So this is the counter. This is the best and final from the firm.
Did they report did they report if they've done any analysis
No.
up to date?
No, they have not, because we did
At
not
least
have a
not
letter
to
of
us.
engagement.
They haven't been
No,
hired.
we kept,
Oh, they haven't hired.
No.
This
I mean,
was,
what he's basically saying is, look, if you'd have hired me in the summer when I applied, I would have done it in 30 days, but
he's saying that it is his litigation calendar.
he's wanting a 30 to 100 days. That'd be the quickest way we can go. By the time it's taken us 6 months to get to this point. We opened
Well,
it up
Judge, and
again.
that, you know, we have to also support that time frame in the fact that drainage district is not allowed to exempt. Is not allowed. We had to go out an RFQ. We did not meet with the Lee Law Firm until midsummer.
No,
the Lee
I'm
Law
not
Firm-
quarreling with that. I don't think
No,
any
no,
of
no.
us are.
I'm just saying it has a process that took its time.
Right.
That's all. And so, therefore, if the court denies this request, but it certainly the board can, we will have to go out again. We have no other firm.
What is your recommendation?
I think would the board consider 60 days? They're asking for no more than 100. That's not more than 90 days. Or give them 90 days.
In his letter, he's talking about his trial schedule and the holiday season and fall season are all going to come into play. I'd hate to be having to come back and
Okay.
getting another extension.
My 90 days?
30 to 90 days.
No less than 30 with no more than 90.
That's correct.
Okay, we will get word to them today. And the minute he signs the engagement is the timeline starts to tick.
All right.
Okay?
Then, Judge, Commissioners, may I have a motion to that, or a vote to that
We have
effect?
a motion, a second.
I did.
Okay.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Let's go back to item number 5. At this time, we're going to convene a public hearing on the 2015 proposed budget for our drainage district.
Marty.
Marty?
Who's going to present, either Godfrey or Laura?
I'll let Laura take the lead on it, sir. Good man.
For the 2015 annual budget, the district maintained the same rate as last year of .0957. This rate is below the effective tax rate of .0965. For the most part, the debt service increased minimal in the interest for the 3 bond issuance that we have. So the rate between M&O and INS pretty much just stayed the same. One increased by 0.17 of a penny and the other one decreased. As far as the total budget that we have,
The tax rate remained the same.
yes, of .0957.
957.
And the total budget for this 2015 calendar year is $12,217,866. I did some comparisons. From the actual 2013 expenditures, we have our 2015 budget is approximately 308,000 increase for the administration. For the M&O, we have a $91,000 increase. This is from actual. In comparison to last year's budget, we have an increase of $275,000 for administration and $397 for M&O, for the maintenance and operation. If you want, we can go into some of the line items that increased.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. We had an increase in the employees' health insurance in the administrative side. In the For administration, we had an increase of $24,000 in the employee insurance. For collections, these are some of the major items. For commissions and costs, excuse me, for the tax office, we had an increase of about $100,000, and that's mainly due to the higher levy that they're collecting for us. For the appraisal fees, we have an increase of $80,000. We have Precinct 4 building that we're going to be renovating. That's $50,000 is included in there.
That's the ex-precinct 4 building, right?
Yes.
Drainage district building.
The drainage district
Gotcha.
building.
Okay.
Precinct 4. It'll always be known as Precinct 4's building.
Okay.
In the M&O side, again, we had increases in the health insurance and retirement.
Can you read them the amount of increase on that?
For the health insurance is $170,000, retirement $15,000, workers' comp $40,000, and that's mainly some of this is mainly due because we had an additional 15 employees. Contractual services $40,000, equipment repair and maintenance $20,000, and of course gasoline. Gasoline we had to increase by $100,000. We still have $930,000 that is budgeted for the purchase of county assets for this coming year, as well as note payable for $250,000 to Plains Capital Bank.
So
Did
basically,
we keep the same health insurance company?
The health insurance, we're with the county, so it's been.
I think it's up for renewal today.
so the bulk of the increases, Commissioners, basically were the fees that were increased because of the amount of levies collected, which was due to appraisal and collection, about $180,000, and then the health increase of about $170,000 with the bulk, and then the gasoline. So you combine those three by themselves, you're looking at almost $400,000 increase.
What was the reason we had such an increase in the health insurance?
We get those numbers directly from the county, Judge, so I couldn't tell you specifically unless Laura knows.
Part of the reason is, I believe last year, we did not budget for the increase for 2014. So actually, in comparison to the budget from 2014, it's taking up the 2014 and 15 increase. Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone here that desires to make any comment at this public hearing? One favor of, against, any manner? All right. With this time, we'll close the public hearing and move on to item B.
Item C.
5B.
I think item B, sir, if y'all could take formal action on the approval of the 2015 budget.
Let's wait for Commissioner
Palacios.
Palacios to get here.
That would be cheaply approved, with vice versa. No.
It should be the other way. All right. Commissioner, we want to make sure you made the motion.
Yes.
We have a motion?
Nothing on it. This one's the
We're
other.
working on B, 5B.
5B is in boy. We're wanting to make sure we had the entire court present when we adopted the budget.
Okay, move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I need a record vote, so those in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries unanimously.
We'll do it on everything.
All right, item C.
An item C, approval to set salaries for district employees and travel allowance for board of director member. It is broken down as the following. Under administration, $659,389.40 plus longevity. Under M&O, $3,551,868.01. That's for maintenance and operation. Under the election officials, under auto allowance, it's $9,000 for a total of $4,220,257.41.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item D, adoption of the 2014 tax rate, it is broken down as follows. M&O, 0.0466, debt service, 0.0491, for a total of 0.0957.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Moving on to item 7.
Item 7, request approval to process payments for the following invoice for services provided by district by Leonel Garza with authority for county treasurer to issue payments after review and auditing procedures are completed. Item A, invoice number 2508 in the amount of $1,125 for appraisal report number 3076 project, and it is for the Alberta Road off of Nolana Loop, 0.35 miles east of South Cesar Chavez Drive, Hidalgo County, Texas. Owner Shirley J. and Charles C. Ballou as co-trustees of Shirley J. Ballou Family Trust. This is for an appraisal service on a project in precinct number 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, invoice number 2401 in the amount of $600 for file number 2260, condemnation hearings preparation, parcel 1, Fayetteville Drain. This is for, again, for condemnation hearings at Atlas Hall.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C, invoice number 2438 in the amount of $2,250 for appraisal report number 2643-2012, bond referendum, rural drainage development, precinct 2, Minnesota Meadows project, parcel 7E, Minnesota Road, north-south, 0.25 miles east of South Cesar Chavez Drive, Hidalgo County, Texas. Owner J. Robert Velado.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 8, request approval to purchase 2 3M MyTouch time clocks from Gray Bar through the district membership of Department of Information Resource DIR contract number DIR SDD 1464 in the amount of $1,613.64. These are for the time clocks.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item B, 2013 bond series, item B, requesting approval to extend notice to suspend work with RDH Side and Concrete LLC as it relates to construction contract number HCDD1 14-010-0506, Precinct 2, Rural Drainage Development, Seminole Valley Subdivision Area Drainage Improvements, due to lead time to manufacture concrete boxes culvert. Resumption of work effective October 13, 2014.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item 9, General Fund, request approval to issue manual check after review and audit procedures are complete for the following item. Request for payment number 7, the amount of $12,177 from Texas Cordia Construction LLC related to Hidalgo County Drain System 1 construction contract number 13014-1126 for the Alamo Expressway Drain Border Crossing Improvements, PO number 624009-R.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Request approval of change order number 2 from Texas Cordia Construction LLC related to HCDD1 construction contract number 13014-1126, Alamo Expressway Drain Border Crossing Improvements. Change order is needed to final quantity adjustments and a decrease in the amount of $4,710.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And we have no other item under closed session of the board. Wishing to entertain one.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you, sir.
Son las 10. 9:42.
Oh, okay, we're ready then. At this time, we're going to be convening the regular meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court for today, September the 30th, 2014. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the rain you have sent. You might kind of have to slow down. Dear Lord, we're still in trouble in this world. There is so much violence, so much greed, so many promises broken. We ask you to have patience with us, guide us, protect us in the world and in this county, and give our leaders all kinds of wisdom so they make good decisions. And we ask this in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
I would ask for a moment of silence and remain standing in honor of Miss Lilia Velasco, who passed away on Saturday, September the 27th. Ms. Velasco was a registered nurse who worked with the Hidalgo County Health Department for over 20 years. Most recently, she was a clinic supervisor for the FAR Clinic. Thank you. Let me know when it's 10. Any concerns with the consent agenda?
There's 3 items of concern, Judge. So I would ask the court to take action, but to remove consent agenda item 11A5, 11K, and item 11I.
Yes, my motion.
Check.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
As it relates to 11A5, this is just strictly a typo. The error is has too many zeros. The caption has too many zeros, merely a typo. The amount is $3,750, of which I am making for the record.
So everything's correct? That's your recommendation? to
Yes.
approve it? Move for approval.
Next one is 11K. H is not an issue, correct, Ms. Linda? H has been removed?
Yes.
Okay. 11K, this is the response, this is due to the rounding effect on when these are tabulated. And so from the 39 cents, we are correcting it to 40. And that is our recommendation.
Action?
That's it.
Move for approval.
Sorry, 11I also. 11I, you're going to go over 11I?
Oh, just everything else is correct. It's just the pennies from 39 cents to 40. Everything else remains the same.
So we need action on it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, move for approval.
Second.
There's motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And 11I, this will be subject to the WIC program taking the expenditure from the 2015 budget, not the 2014. So it is subject to that correction. And that's my recommendation.
That's my motion.
There's motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Are this the only two, Monica, open for? First, on the list, it's Opal Billman. Billman?
Have I been called?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. In Hidalgo County, I was sued for divorce in May of 1996. One of the outcomes of this lawsuit is that I have been arrested and tried for trespass twice. I was found not guilty twice. My defense is that I cannot trespass on land that I own. The Sixth Amendment of the Constitution grants an accused to be confronted with the witnesses. At neither trial did anyone claim that they owned my land and I was trespassing on their property. At the first trial, my son testified that he was the court-appointed manager of his parents' community property. I testified that an undivided 1/2 of the community property is my community property. There were no other witnesses at this first trial. At the second trial, several police officers testified concerning their enforcement of my confinement off of my property. No one has ever claimed that I am trespassing on land that they own. None of the witnesses testified that I was trespassing on land owned by them. I have testified that I own an undivided 1/2 of the land and capital improvements, and the estate of Joe Billman owns the other 1/2 of the land and capital improvements. The heirs of Joe Billman own the estate of Joe Billman. A division of $650,000 that does not exist and the false imprisonment of me are still being enforced. Who got our community property, the lifetime of work and investments belonging to Joe and me? I believe we, the 4 owners, have a right to know this. Who is claiming to own the community property of Joe and me and the heirs of the estate of Joe Billman? I have read the court claims to have awarded our community property to a corporation on the foundation of a deed signed by Joe only. Joe's signature cannot convey my community property. The court has no authority to award our community property to anyone other than Joe and me, the owners. These 2 trials and the continued police-enforced false imprisonment of me violate my constitutional rights under the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments of the Constitution. Thank you for your time.
Next presenter is Virginia Townsend. Good morning.
Good morning. I just realized as these huge amount of taxes are coming, our only relief is probably going to be the county, the cities, maybe the drainage district, who is getting more land, more taxable property, and maybe could give us a break in the future. But certainly the others are never going to give us a break. The hospital district, STC, they're going to be locked in. If anything, they'll get worse. But I think that our only hope is for you all. Take a look at everything, how much we're growing, everything you're accumulating, and how much more you're going to be worth, and maybe you can take less from our taxes, I hope. The other thing I wanted to talk about is it time, once and for all, to put the politiquera system to death, I hope. Isn't it time for no more of that? I mean, it's out of control. I agree if you want to pay for workers to rent cars to pick up whatever, but never, never let your helpers pay for votes. Never. All of you all who run for office are going to have to say to your helpers, don't ever pay one dime for a vote. We must be the laughingstock of this whole state. I can't imagine this latest thing, you know. I mean, I make a joke about it, but it's not a joke. It's terrible. The politiqueros are coming forward and saying what they do to get votes. My goodness. But I know the buck stops with you all. Whoever hires them has got to put the rules, and you're going to have to enforce the rules. You're going to have to say there isn't going to be any more of this because it reflects back on me, not on you. Nothing may happen to you, but it certainly is hurting my reputation. So you all are going to have to put an end to it. It's time. We're way too far advanced to be that. That's the old system. Not now. Please put an end to it. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Next presenter is Joseph Palacios.
Yeah, Judge, Commissioners, just I want to extend my gratitude to the over the weekend from Friday to Saturday, one of our areas received anywhere between 5.5 to 6 inches of rain. Unfortunately, it landed in an area where there's some pockets of areas that we have some drainage concerns in. We had 4 displaced families. I want to thank American Red Cross who came out and provided lodging for the families. We had emergency management crews out there. We had the health department. We had the sheriff's department. I want to thank Victor Garza out of the DA's office for assisting us as well. Hidalgo County Drainage District, as well as the Precinct 4 staff that worked around the clock to move the floodwaters out. I'm happy to report after, I think it was about 48 hours, we had the water out of their homes. And now we have the water pretty much controlled within the bar ditches. And we're going to continue working around the clock, God willing, that we don't receive any more rains in that area. We'll allow ourselves to kind of drain the area. But I do want to thank all those agencies that assisted us throughout the weekend.
All right, sir. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to proceed. I'm going to be part of a panel discussion along with some judges and lawyers on indigent defense beginning at 11 or 11:15. So I'm going to be leaving early, but we are required to have either a full court or at least 4 members of the court to adopt our budget. So I'm going to be moving our next item to be 19A, a budget hearing.
Morning, Judge Commissioner. Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 19A is a public hearing on the 2015 proposed budget as per Texas Local Government Code 111.067. Just a quick summary of the budget that was proposed last week. It was filed with the county clerks and the county auditor's office as required by statute. We also published a copy of the proposed budget on the county's website. The total proposed budget that was included in the book was $256,344,000, of which the general fund portion was $185.2 million. The special revenue funds, which were $22.9 million, and debt service funds of $19.3 million, and included an enterprise fund of $28.5 million. These budgets were built around the proposed tax rate of 59 cents per $100 of valuation, and I would have the court open that public hearing regarding the proposed budget for 2015.
All right, is there anyone that desires to make any comments of any sort at this hearing? We have convened a public hearing to consider the budget, the adoption of the 2015 budget.
I will say the same thing as Virginia said, dittos, to lower the tax rate from 59 cents. Y'all are wanting to get the health district put on our taxing entity as it would be as a county or a city or STC. So you have a chance to actually lower the tax rate. When I first started coming to Commissioners Court, it was 51 cents. And y'all jumped it up, and of course Ramon always says you never change it. How about let's go down? Show the people that you do know how to, the direction up and down.
Anyone else desiring to make any comment? All right, we're going to be at this time closing this public hearing and proceeding on to item 19A, number 2.
19A2 is discussion, consideration, and action on changes and corrections to the 2015 proposed budget. Judge Commissioners, I handed out a quick sheet on page 4 through page 10 are some changes that we're recommending to the proposed budget. Majority of them have to deal with rounding. As we were going through our budget, there's several rounding corrections that we have from anywhere between $1 and $3. So we have those changes. We also have an accounting change to the Environmental Compliance Division. During this fiscal year, we had the Environmental Compliance Division under the Executive Office. However, it should be properly recorded under its own program to record the function of environmental compliance. So we have made that proposed change. The only difference would be transferring those employees from one program number to another. There's no budgetary impact to that. We also did make a change to the sheriff's proposed budget. We've increased it by $135,080. This is for some contracts that they have that we did not account for in the budget. We did take that money from the countywide administration contingency account. We're recommending that change. And then the other change is resulting from the court's direction to increase the 1115 waiver contribution from 5.562 to the $6 million. So we are recommending an increase of the 1115 waiver contribution for uncompensated care, an increase in the amount of $438,864 to equal the $6 million. And we are recommending that we do take that. Basically, there would be an increase to the appropriation from fund balance in the amount of $438,859.
You need action for that?
Yes, we would recommend that we have approval of those changes to the budget as listed on pages 4 through 10 of this document.
Before we hear the motion, I was looking at the agenda, and there's an item on HR where we're talking about deleting and creating different positions. Are
Correct.
those going to be covered? Do they need to be taken up prior to us voting on this issue, or can we do it later?
The court can do it either way. If we take it after this
All
item,
right, then
then basically at the beginning of the year, we'll need to bring this item again as we've done in prior years.
Bring it back beginning of the year.
Then we'll go ahead and proceed to take action on 19A, number 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Next item.
Next item is approval to set salaries, allowances, and other compensation for fiscal year 2015. In the proposed budget, we included the salaries and allowances for all elected officials and for all county employees. On page 3, we do have some changes to those, mainly title changes, and then also changing on the salary schedule, again, the Environmental Compliance Division from to its own program number. And then also, there's a deletion creation under the road and bridge, resulting in savings of $5,588. which would go back to the precinct's maintenance fund. So we're recommending for approval to set salaries, allowances, and other compensation for fiscal year 2015 as listed in the proposed budget with corrections as listed on page 3 of the document that I handed to the court.
I believe Commissioner Palacios did Steve give you that.
Yeah, the motions?
Yeah, that's where it's got to read, no?
No, that'll be for the tax rate on two items down.
That'll be in B.
Move for approval of 19A3.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously.
And item 19A4 is adoption of the 2015 annual budget at the departmental level. Again, the annual budget will be reflective of the changes made in pages 3 to 4. So we will be adopting a total budget of $674,407 for the 2015 proposed budget.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
Now, having set the budget, we need to adopt the tax rate. Item 19B is consideration and approval of order setting the 2014 Hidalgo County tax rate. We ask the court to take the 3 items separately with 3 separate motions. I did give the court a copy of the way the motion should read.
Okay.
So we would recommend
So
approval of the tax
item
rates.
number 1, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a maintenance and operation tax rate of 0.5308 for each $100 valuation for all taxable property for general operating purposes, which is effectively a 1.32% increase in the tax rate.
Second.
Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item number 2, I move that for the adoption of the debt service tax rate of 0.0592 for each $100 valuation of all taxable property to provide sinking funds and pay interest on the outstanding debt issuance, which include both bond issues and certificates of obligation.
Move for second.
Those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 3, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.5900, which is effectively a 1.34% increase in the tax rate.
Second.
Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. All right.
Judge, those are my items for the...
Copy this?
Excuse me?
You need a copy of the motions?
No, we'll have an order that will have each of the commission members signed. Judge, I don't know if you want me to continue with the rest of the presentation.
Go ahead and finish your items, Sergio.
Item 19C is approval of the Title 4E Child Welfare Service contract and budget for the fiscal year of October 1st, 2014 to September 30th, 2015.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item C2 is approval for the county judge to sign the budget documents.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 19D, 1 and 2 is approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor and appropriation of those funds in the amount of $9,434.56.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
There's 19E, if I can have our financial advisors come on over. We have a presentation and discussion on financing of capital improvement plan projects. Judge, Commissioners, as you will recall, several weeks ago, I made a presentation on the CIP capital improvement project requests that were submitted by the precincts and by the county departments. Again, at that time, we discussed going out anywhere between $20 to $25 million, doing an issuance in that amount to cover some of the priority projects that had been slated by the court. Since then, Mr. Valdeguerra, which is the designee in our county debt policy, has been working with myself and Mr. Noe Hinojosa from Estrada Hinojosa and his firm, and also with Bobby Villarreal from the county judge's office in trying to develop a plan of finance for the issuance of bonds for those capital improvement project requests. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hinojosa.
Good morning. Noe Hinojosa, for the record, financial advisor to this to the county. With me is Oscar Garza, and I also want to recognize my dad over there, 82-year-old. He wanted to come with me and be a witness to all this, so here we are. In any event, what I've given you is a little packet that we present for your leisure, I guess, in review. I was tasked, or our firm was tasked about a month and a half ago to go about developing a plan of finance that will fund or will attempt to fund at least a portion of about $342 million in capital improvement plan needs. The 342 that was presented by your budget officer, Mr. Sergio Cruz, two big projects are contemplated. One is a county courthouse of about $187 million at the inflated value provided by your consultants, and $63 million for adult detention center repairs, or improvements for that matter. So when you add those two projects alone, that puts you at about $250 million. That's about 72% of the entire CIP. When you take that amount, 250 from 342, that's literally 72% of the project. So what we've done is come to you with a plan, at least for this year, that will contemplate funding a portion of that, or prepare you to go on about funding in the future some of these projects. If you go to page 106, right after the cover, what's being brought to you today is three items. One is to adopt a notice of intent to borrow money for certain projects, that it would include jail repairs, road improvements, and equipment. And then as a second item, or along with the other items, is a reimbursement resolution in order to allow your staff, your county budget office and audit office, to make commitments to award for engineering of the new county courthouse in the next phase. The reimbursement resolution, all it does is it gives the county the latitude to choose to reimburse itself in the future with debt. And it is not an uncommon practice by political subdivisions to go about doing that so that you can replenish your savings account, your fund balance. So that's what we have before you. We also have a refunding, a refinancing that that's become more attractive in lieu of the fact that interest rates continue to be lower. So on that page 106, you'll see that we bring to you a $32 million program. $4 million will be funded with cash. $22 million will be done through certificates of obligation. Tax notes for about $6 million. The tax notes will fund basically vehicles. Just the sheriff alone has presented you or staff needs for 150 vehicles at about $50,000 a pop. And we think that that was something that the court wanted to get funded, and a way to get it funded is by borrowing this money through a 5-year note and paying that out of the operating budget. The uses of funds, basically, we will put in there engineering phase 2, cash, $4 million. Then the COs will fund about $3,750,000 per precinct, 4 ways. Then county jail repairs of about $7 million. In fact, the bids came lower than $7 million, but we think that that's a good number to work with. So, and then sheriff vehicles and other vehicles, not only the sheriff, but other countywide vehicles, of about $6 million. We also, in talking to your staff, recognize and realize that you should contemplate putting together some sort of a committee that will help the court in making a better call as to what vehicle needs to be offline and be brought online or be replaced. Because I think, as some of you may know, the liability that you have in having a vehicle out there with well over 200,000 miles can be more of a burden than not. So in essence, as you go about funding for that, I think it'd be good to have a committee like that. All this $32 million does not include a cost of issuance budget of about $183,000 for the COs and about $96,000 for the tax notes. As we go about funding or going to the next page, what I wanted to point out there, this plan that we're going to present here to you contemplates property value growth of 1.5% going from 16 till about 2021. Last year, your growth at the county was 2.5%. If you go to the next page, on that page 206 at the bottom, you look at column CS and CAT, and you'll see that from 2014 to 2015, the growth was 2.5. We've gone conservatively forward and put 1.5% growth. If you exceed that growth next year, the year later, it only helps you in your ability to not have to impose a greater tax rate. The truth is that if, in fact, you don't grow at the 1.5%, then you're going to have to put some pressure on attempting to levy a higher tax rate. So that's important to show, because that's kind of like the basis that we use in going forward to determine the tax rate. In addition, column D as in David, you'll see your payments in 14 were $19.5 million in 14. If you were to do nothing, if you were to do no borrowings, your payments will be about $19.1 million in 15, then $18.7 million for about three years. And then when you get to 2023, 2024, your payments are at about $10.25 million, and then they drop significantly to about 8 and then 5. And they're non-existent after the year 2030. Again, there, what we try to solve is bring the empty columns of E and F to be filled in, at least for the next couple of years, with the CIP mandate or the CIP requirements. When you go to the next page, 3 of 6, at that point we start filling in what the demands are for this year, 2014, to fund for 2015 needs. Basically, if you were to do this $22 million offering, the certificates of obligation of $22 million, in column E, you'll find how you end up funding $22 million at an interest rate that we're using of 3.37%. That interest rate is about 30 basis points higher than what the current market is. So we have a better rate than the 337 that I'm illustrating here for purposes, then the payments will be lower. Along with that, when you go to column H, you'll see a refinancing there of about $23 million of current existing debt that is trading at an interest rate of 4.65. We believe strongly that that interest rate of 4.65 will be replaced with an interest rate of about 2.5%. When you do that, then we take a look at your entire mortgage payment portfolio, and we put the savings where we believe you need it most in order to accommodate future CIP financings, or for that matter, the courthouse financing. As you go over to column O, to the far right, and I know some of you, this is a challenging column to read because the numbers are a little small. The tax rate never exceeds the current or the 2014 tax rate of 6.75%. So we've always, actually not 6.75%, 6.75 pennies. So that 6.75 pennies is never exceeded. When we go to the next page, page 4 of 6, that kind of gives you an overview of what things could be like next year in November of 2015. We are thinking that sometime next year in November, the court will be presented with a decision of whether funding this courthouse, not at $187 million, we're using numbers more like 157, which is the value of today. But let's just say, and this is just an assumption, this plan that we're presenting to you today, the ordinances or the orders being considered for your approval later, do not in any terms compromise this county or commit this county to the courthouse financing. The judge and his staff gave us a task to come before you, before this court, with a plan that, A, how can we fund this courthouse without a tax rate increase? Then, as we went about developing that plan, some of the commissioners told us, we want to fund some for precinct improvements this year. How can you do that too? So in essence, one page talks about how to fund precinct improvements. The next page talks about how do we do the courthouse next year. Now, when you go into that, you go to column F, as in Frank, and you'll see that in that particular case, we're not going out with your typical 20-year financing. A courthouse is an asset that is going to have a life expectancy well over 30 years. In fact, I think your current courthouse has exceeded that by more than that, by the 30 years. So if you were to finance a project of that size, the interest rates that we're using here is about 4.3 basis points, 60 or a 0.5% higher than current market rates. We believe, like many of you who are in the investment of assets, that yields are likely to get higher, but we don't know how much higher. But we're just assuming 60 basis points. If that interest rate goes higher than the 60 basis points, then we're going to have some pressure there on how to fund the 157. But as we go about funding column F, we're also hopeful that in column I, you'll find a refinancing or restructuring of about $28 million. If we were to do that financing under the terms of 2015 today, we could save on that restructuring or refunding $2 million. So there are opportunities for the county as we go about funding the project or projects to look at existing debt even then and restructure the payments in a way that the impact on the tax rate is de minimis, or for that matter, non-existent. I know that in column J, that there's been some informal conversations with a partner to you, the City of Edinburgh. We are looking at the City of Edinburgh, in this particular case, contributing 20% to the cost of the project, and their obligation in this particular case, it's about $1.8 million. That's $1.8 million that this county would have no need to fund for. Therefore, it will be a direct impact in your requirement to levy that tax. So $1.8 million will be coming your way. Then when you go to column L, that is a court filing revenue that the county currently does not enjoy, but it's not unusual for some counties that make improvements to their courthouses to assess a court filing fee regarding civil and family cases. Right now, the rates that you have in there do seem to have some room for growth. It's not unusual for a county like yours who makes an improvement to a courthouse to go through its local representative and submit through him or her a local initiative bill before the legislature, allowing you to collect that kind of a fee. We believe that that fee, if it were to go up by $35 a case, and based on the current history of those type of cases, that you can easily assess or easily collect another $1 million. With those two things, well, actually those three things, restructuring your existing debt, entering into a relationship with the City of Edinburgh that provides for that, and increasing that, that civil and family court cases, the tax rate will be basically not impacted. The issue then becomes, when you go to column O, is that you fund for the one, in this particular case, you fund for the courthouse, you fund for projects with the precincts and the jail repairs that you have in place. Going forward, it's going to be a challenge. In other words, you cannot fund your entire $342 million CIP unless you take a bigger bite of that tax rate. Just because you increase that tax rate, that particular tax rate, it doesn't mean that your total tax rate is going to go up either. So our task too is to see what efficiencies we can find within your budget, operating budget, to ensure that if the mortgage payments are higher, that we can find some room in the operating budget to bring it down and not impact the total tax rate increase, or the total tax rate. The total tax rate today of 59 cents, I believe it's been here at least over 10 years.
13.
13 years. Well, thank you for correcting me on that, Judge. But at least 10, that's what I meant to say. So I think that that as you go about funding for these projects, you want to always position yourself in the most flexible of ways, and this plan kind of provides for that. So I'll stop and entertain any questions you all may have.
Well, I do have a question. Obviously, the county has a lot of demands, and looking at the capital improvement plan, the big one. My question is, obviously, you identified 3 variables, one being the City of Edinburgh's commitment, the other being the, I believe you, restructuring some debt, and then the other issue is on the fee. Since we don't have any formal commitments from the City of Edinburgh at this time, and those 2 variables are still questionable if we're going to do, if the county's going to move forward or not. Mine is going to be the variable of time here. We're looking at investing $4 million for preparing to do a courthouse, of which I completely agree. I think we need to address the courthouse needs. But at what point, not knowing these variables, can you presume that the county is going to be available to finance a $150 to $180 million project for the courthouse itself? At what point of time, knowing that? I mean, well, the thing I'm afraid of is going forward, going through professional services, and we're looking at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road. Well, why ramp up so quickly then? I mean, we got time on our hands to make sure that we value engineer, we make sure that we double check space, maybe we're going too aggressive, maybe there's a phase approach. I mean, so there's a lot of things here that it would be hard to just say, hey, let's go, and still have a lot of variables, still some uncertainty still. So I guess my simple question is, at what point do you think we can afford to do a courthouse with the current requests that we're preparing here on going out for COs, addressing other issues as well?
Well, I think that simple question, as it relates to the various variables, can only simply be answered by the fact that you got to take it one step at a time, but every step you take be a firm one. I think that you had architects came to you with this project of 157 and with the potential to grow as much as 187. I think if you were to go to the next phase of funding this $4 million, which we believe you need to have, that's just an additional step that will give you a peace of mind as to whether in fact the project should cost 157 or 187 at the inflationary value. I think you and I have had conversations along with other commissioners over the fact that can we do this in a more efficient way in terms of the design and all of that, and we're not going to get into that. Right. I think very much like you and I, when we deal with our personal matters or personal needs and trying to buy them, you know, here's a plan that just by funding 157, look at the pressure or the stress it puts you on. So I think that it's all about the will and the ability. If you have the ability to pay, you know, the county can raise taxes up to 80 cents. Well, you're not doing that at all. You're staying within 59 cents. The issue then becomes is, do you have the will to do a $150 million project or $200 million project? Well, you may have the will, but you need to take step at a time and doing the things like engineering.
Yeah, and see, that's my point. It's just a word of caution to the court is saying, yes, I do believe that we need to set money aside for the professional service to be able to go. It has to be a phased approach to assure that we're not letting the tail lead the head here on designing something that we're going to go back and in the finance world, we're not going to be able to afford it till 5, 6, 7 years down the road. So, I mean, it's just, you know,
well, I think you would agree that, fundamentally speaking, that you do need a courthouse.
Oh, absolutely, without doubt. If you do, the question is, do we do it outright or do we do a phase approach? The question is, you can attack, any construction project, you can attack it in either its whole form or in phases. And I don't know what's beneficial at this point in time. The last thing we want to do is increase taxes, as you know, and we definitely want to take care of that issue alongside with all the other issues we have. So. I'm an optimist, though, too, because I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, things are growing. Our growth rate is 2.5%. We didn't presume it this year, but it was. We only hope that the economy continues to grow, but that's a variable that's unknown as well, not knowing. So,
Judge, Commissioners, again, one of the reasons why we recommended that we use cash on hand for the moving forward of the courthouse was, at that point, we're not paying interest on any debt for that project, and we'll have it on hand, and we'll use it at the time that the court is ready to move forward with that project. Having said that, if the court is not ready to move forward with that project right now, then I would recommend also to add roughly about $1.5 million to this plan for life safety improvements to the existing courthouse. If we are going to be delaying on this, I think that'd be something that would be probably prudent on the court's behalf. Again, the order that was prepared by bond counsel is an amount not to exceed $25 million. We are recommending $22 million at this point, but given that concern, that we would probably recommend that we increase that to $23.5 million and include probably $1.5 million for life safety improvements for the courthouse.
You know, I don't see this, well, the city of Edinburgh, I realize that right now it's still a variable, but they're strongly committed to the project. And so assuming that they are, we have and are considering the hiring of another architectural firm that hopefully is well experienced in constructing courthouses to evaluate and look over and conduct I guess we could call it a peer review of the work that has been done to date by ERO, looking at the possibility that, as you expressed earlier, that perhaps there's another design out there that would be less expensive, or that design engineering work that can be looked at to consider these value engineering issues that may exist or may not. But in your analysis, I mean, are you taking into consideration the interest, the increase in interest, that potential interest rates that may exist, whether it be a year from now, 2 years from now, or 5 or 6 years from now?
For now, what we have is 60 basis points on top of current market rates, and that if the market is higher then we have to adjust our model. The way you can adjust the model is by restructuring more debt that today is going to cost you absolutely nothing. In fact, by refinancing your debt next year, you can save $2 million. If you restructure more debt to make more room and not ever go through the 6.75% or 6.75% tax rate increase, by doing more of the restructuring, you may not save as much, $2 million. But right now, you're in a great position, Judge, if you were to do this today.
I had a question on the funds, the $32 million.
Yes, sir. Second page.
Sergio, I know we have the proceeds that we have in trust or in some account.
Correct.
That we got from that lawsuit that we filed related to the jail construction.
Correct. We have roughly about $4.8 million in the trust.
Are those a part of any of these figures that you're providing us with?
Yes, that is the $4 million cash on hand.
That one can't be used for anything but the jail repairs.
No, that one doesn't have any limitations. Basically,
It was on a lawsuit strictly on that jail repairs.
Right, no, Commissioner, and that was, those are the proceeds that we received based on the lawsuit of that,
Construction.
of the construction.
Correct.
What the court instructed us to do was the settlement proceeds for them to be set aside to be used for the renovation or the issues that we have at the jail. Okay, so in essence, yes, what you just said, Commissioner, by court action, they said set aside, and Ms. Linda, if I'm not mistaken, we actually had that reserved as.
and they've been
But we're
appropriated
not
for
doing
use.
it, if we adopt this proposal, we're not doing that.
Correct.
Yeah, but if we
Judge, again, we
save
did.
money again after the construction's over,
Well, again, we're during the projects that are being considered, we are allocating the $7 million that we estimate will be the cost of the repairs for both facilities, the Adult Detention Center and the Law Enforcement Center. So basically, those repairs are going to be financed via certificates of obligation.
So we're going to be changing it over.
The commitment on the funds was made on behalf of the court last year. The year before, court reserved these funds for that. This year, they unreserved them and appropriated these funds into our general fund budget. So right now, the court can use them for any designated purpose. And what we're recommending is that we keep roughly about $800,000 for unanticipated M&O costs, which include out-of-county housing of inmates during the construction portion, and also for food expenses that will be generated since there is a repair to the kitchen area. So we're recommending to the court that we used $800,000 of those cash on hand that we have right now for maintenance and operation expenses of the repairs, that we issue $7 million for the repairs itself, and then that we keep the other $4 million as cash on hand for the completion of the courthouse project whenever the court is at a position where it wants to move forward with that project. If the court at some point decides not to move forward with that project, then the court can utilize those funds for any purpose and can appropriate them at that time during the budget cycle for next year.
Steve, can we legally do what they're proposing?
Judge, Commissioners, as I understand it, and Valdi, correct me if I'm wrong, the restriction you put on those lawsuit funds was to set them aside and have that go to the jail repair.
Right.
And that was a restriction this court put on it.
A self-imposed restriction.
Self-imposed restriction. And I understand what Mr. Hinojosa is proposing is that for the jail repairs, that $4 million of that 4.8 be the cash match for that financing. Is that correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. The $4 million doesn't have to come from that jail settlement account. You got $50 million in your fund balance. About half of it, or well in excess of half of it, is totally unencumbered. All we're doing, if you look at the item coming up, is allow the county to tap into these funds while we're coming up and addressing some of the variables, so that when those variables are addressed and you fund the courthouse financing can allow the county to reimburse itself for the funds that we're tapping into. You're not spending money outright. You're just tapping into those funds while you're making a determination to do the courthouse or not.
Let me offer a suggestion. If the court wants to be true to its self-imposed restriction, that the $4.8 million from that litigation be appropriated for the jail repairs. And the difference you need for jail repairs, you finance under Mr. Hinojosa's plan.
Well, I'll suggest this to you, Counselor. I think that one of the concerns that we have with the jail repairs, or for that matter, any improvements that occur with the CIP, some of those improvements, when they take place, may require added revenues to fund for those expenditures when the CIP improvements get done. So I'm right now more concerned, or as concerned, of ensuring that the county continues to grow its savings account. So if it has cash, and that cash from the settlement account was the court put a resolution together and self-imposed itself to we're only going to spend this money for this. Well, I think it's easier for financial purposes to go out and borrow the money to do the jail repairs and preserve that cash. It's a question that is more administrative and gives you the flexibility. You don't have to self-impose that requirement. You don't have to do that. I think we can agree to that. So what I'm saying to you is, if you need to go and address as one of the variables that are out there, is this the most efficient? Is this the way we want to design? But we do have some money to appropriate that. Well, you can use those funds if you want to, but you also have a rainy day fund. Today, this county, just in 2013, spent $173 million. The savings account was about north of $50 million. A big portion of that, about half of it, is unencumbered. What I want to do with this jail repair fund is exactly what Sergio pointed out earlier. That is that we don't know how much it's going to cost to house inmates out of the county while these repairs are taking place.
Okay, and if I may, I was
Yes.
at a meeting with the Jail Standard Commission. They were there on Friday, and we understood a whole lot more. Most of the repairs are going to be on top of the roof. So the issue about housing inmates to other areas is not going to be what we presumed initially.
Good.
Second of all, the hot meal, the meals and all that, we addressed that issue as well. jail standard commissions had addressed that it does not have to be a hot meal. So in fact, they can feed them bologna sandwiches if they could. So we some of those expenses that we factored aren't demands as we first presumed.
Excellent.
So I know that I'm speaking for the sheriff right now, but I know I'm not misspeaking because I sat in that meeting addressing those issues when we were there on Friday.
So if the expenses are going to be lower, after you're done with all those expenses, whatever is left over, Commissioner, goes into your savings account.
So you're estimating 7 million, it might be $6.5–6 million total?
Probably.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, we got bids on that, on those repairs already for
Yeah, we
the
had talked
highest of
about
6 million.
6 million, I think.
I'm sorry?
We had talked about 6 million, I think, on.
Yes, one of the bids came in at 5.9 million, another one came in at 6.3 million. The 6 million, yeah, the 6.3 million, which was the highest bid, they committed to building it by like 60 days less. So going back to the issue of, do I want to keep inmates 60 days more if I do the low bid? So we were going, I think staff is going through that exercise, whether to recommend to you a low bid or a high bid based on the duration of the project,
Like
construction.
$300,000, $400,000 more.
Yeah.
Fine.
But in this particular case, all I'm trying to do is keep as much money, the cash that we have, so that we can continue to build on our savings account as we go about embarking on funding projects that are going to be pretty significant. So that's what I'm trying to do.
That was my only concern, Judge, on that $4.8 million, if it was legal for us to transfer them over or not.
Yeah. What action do you need for us to take so that we can start acting on it?
Go ahead.
On the 22 million, you gave the court this schedule
Yes.
of projects at Equal 22? Are these the ones that are going to be, that the COs are going to be used for?
Those are the ones that we have right now preliminarily. We also have others within the CIP plan that they would be needed for. And then basically, those are right now what we would go out to appropriate. We would have to again get back with the court for the appropriation of those funds
Okay,
for
so
those projects. Correct.
they've already looked at the commissioners?
No, that's my question here.
Yes.
Because initially, we did a major CO list, and we identified all the projects. Then we were asked yesterday to not identify all projects. What I don't want is, right now, we're still evaluating the cost-benefit ratio on everything, assuring that wherever we put our county dollars, we're getting the greatest return on our dollars. And so these things are coming out as we go. So we just want to make sure that the language is general in nature, but it can be appropriate to the various projects we've already presented to the budget office.
Again, it's the notices for the notice, the public, actually the uses for this issuance is going to be based on that defined programmed. Again, one of the uses is going to be roadways. One of the things that we had discussed was, well, we're looking at doing, for example, 10th Street project, but things might change within the next month or
With the
so,
state.
and we might not be able to do that. We'll have to do FM 1925, for example.
Right.
That change would be allowable. We would bring them back to court for deletion of that project from the CIP list and approve the other project.
Right.
But the use and the notice would be roadways. Again, that's the way we would have it defined. However, it has to be defined as to the use. When we go out for issuing debt, we have to define the uses that we're going to be using this for. And it has to be uses that the court is right now contemplating, which are included in our CIP program. Again, if it's not included in the CIP program, let's say we didn't have a courthouse and we didn't put anything for the courthouse in there, we won't be able to use these proceeds for the courthouse if the court decides to change them. So before we publish that, which we intend to publish on, based on the schedule on October 8th, we would have to have those uses defined by the court.
Yeah.
And the uses that we've used right now for the preliminary notice is based on those projects that the court has, again, recommended to us that these are what they're looking at doing at this time. Again, just by the rule of law, we have to be, when we issue that, we have to have projects already identified. We do have them on the CIP list, and we do have the uses.
So let me ask you a simple question. What was the purpose then of submitting all projects? And we know we're only funding 3.75, but you have them all listed.
Because when we first requested all the uses of projects, we needed to know how many projects we had out there, because again, in developing this plan and issuing debt this year, again, we need to know what we're going to be able to issue for next year, the year after that. For future years, this would be a multi-year planning tool.
Yeah, one of the reasons why you want to have a CIP is so that as we go about presenting this credit to the rating agencies, and with the rating that you have of AA, they want to have an idea as to how you're going to fund for that.
Right.
And I think what was important to us right now is to demonstrate to them that at least well over half of the CIP can be funded and keep the tax rate at the level that it's at, and that in order to go and fund for other projects, you may have to do something more creative.
Oh, I understand.
Why don't we discuss the specific items that we need to take action on?
Sure, sir.
I've got one more question, Sheriff. On those sheriff vehicles, the tax note, that's going to be for 5 years, right?
Yes, sir.
Because it's not yellow iron, it's just cars. Those won't last more than 5 years.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, 19E2.
Yes, sir. Consider it. Oh, go ahead. Somebody reads it?
Sure. 19E2 is consideration and approval of resolution authorizing publication of the county notice of intent to issue with respect to Hidalgo County, Texas Certificates of Obligation Series 2014. Again, on this notice, we have the maximum authorized issuance amount of $25 million, and then we would basically issue something in the amount less than $25 million. And then, again, the notice of intent would be then published on the 8th of October.
And what that does, it gives, again, gives staff and ourselves the guidance to go out and allow us to print this notice in the newspaper, and then 30 days after, we come to you with a
Are there any
box.
questions from any member of the court, or if not, entertain a motion?
That's on E19E2, right?
E2.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries unanimously.
Item 19E3 is consideration and approval of an order authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of Hidalgo County Limited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2014, delegating certain authority to the county judge pursuant to the provisions of Texas Government Code, Section 1207.007 and 1207.008, levying a continuing direct ad valorem tax, and authorizing the refunding of certain outstanding bonds, authorizing the execution of a bond purchase contract, approving an official statement, execution of an escrow and trust agreement, and making other provisions regarding such bonds and matters incident thereto.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries unanimously.
In item E4 will be consideration and approval of resolution designating the county judge of Hidalgo County as authorized representative of Hidalgo County to give notice of intent to reimburse expenditures with proceeds of tax-exempt obligations. And this is for a future issuance to use the cash on hand.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Judge.
The tax notes were not included in here. It doesn't require any legal action today. We expect to come before you on or about November 18th to sell these bonds and close on or about December 16th.
All right. Very much.
Thank you, sir.
I guess that was my question. Is that the time you're presuming funds would be available? Is
Yes,
December?
December 16th, yeah.
Okay.
All right. At this time, I'm going to proceed to item number 20A1. Since we have the entire court present, I'm going to go ahead and take that item up at this time. Our purchasing department, Marty?
Well,
I know.
actually, Marty, I think you can go ahead and read it off because the packet, everything's already been done and presented to the court, so.
Okay.
If there's any clarifications need to be made.
Let me just get to that. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is as directed and approved by Commissioners Court and further stated on the record by legal counsel. We're presenting you the original 2006 RFP with Q that was issued at that time for distribution for this round, the 2014, with the exact packet.
6 criteria?
Which is the 2006.
Because they talked about 5 last week, and whoever was there last week told us that it was exactly like 2006. And I went back and looked at it, and there's 6 criteria, that you talked about 5.
Right.
Correct.
You're correct, Commissioner.
Correct, Commissioner.
She didn't do the thing we told her to do.
Correct. Let me tell you where the confusion lay, and that I can give you an overview. What was done was that it was used as a basis to create an updated version of your 2006. And inappropriately and unintentionally, we used it just as a basis to update the version as opposed to your final direction, which was the 2006 to be used. And we did send you something to that effect, that was unintentional. It was a misunderstanding on the part of the staff, thinking, yes, we use that as the template, but we're going to update it to 2014.
So what happened? Which one has been approved?
You have approved the 2006, and that's what is on the on your backup today.
With only 5 criteria?
There's 6 criteria.
Okay.
Because the 2006 has the 6 criteria being a 10-point value presentation.
Okay, give me the points for everything.
Okay, let me.
Staffing and project team, how much is that?
It is staffing of project team is 20.
Okay.
Experience of project team, ability to commit resources is 20. Methodology is 20. Understanding the project, similar projects is 20. The fees are 10, and the presentation is 10, bringing you to the 100 value score.
Yeah, because that's not what we approved last week. We said 20 for the fees.
She said 20, yes, and the 2006 is like this. What was being
Does that mean
proposed
we have
to
to
you.
reapprove this? then?
So can we
You've already
approve
approved
to
it.
20?
You've already approved it. But what I'm telling you about the misunderstanding with last week's documentation that was supporting the item was an updated version to 2014 recommending those values.
Okay, so let me ask a question here. So the will of the court is we're going to have oral presentations as we did in 2006.
It's up to the court, yes.
Well, I mean, you're putting 10 points on it.
That's the
and
way
you
it
would have
was
to
in
have an oral.
2006.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so there will be an oral presentation.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Just exactly like we did
Exactly
in
like
2006.
that.
Well, my question to the court again is going to be, why in fact would we not put more points on the price? In fact, because it's not a bill we're flipping, it's our taxpayers that are flipping it. So why would we not emphasize more points on the rate and not on, I mean, we already know what they could do. We know what all the firms can do. I think it's our fiduciary duty to make sure that our taxpayers get the best price, the best rate.
Well,
So
that's
gonna be my-
yes, and
that's
that
my-
is an issue for the court
Yeah,
to
no,
decide.
and I'm
Commissioner?
speaking to the court.
Have you
I'm
got a copy of that sheet of paper that you provided us last week that lays out the different criteria and the points?
Yes,
that-
we have one.
You have an extra one?
No, sorry, don't, but
You can view hers.
In 2006, it ended up being, the issue was the rate. And
Correct.
so I just want to, I think that that's what we're trying to accomplish here.
And, you know,
but-
I want, my staff is here to answer, I mean, I'm here just to answer
No, I know.
mechanical questions as to
No,
procurement.
and I'm just-
I will tell you this, they did a lot of research.
Yeah.
They did a lot of research. I
No.
believe they looked into at least 6 political subdivisions, maybe 8,
Why are we changing it?
for the same type of project. And fees did not appear to be, I'm just telling you, reporting what we saw, what they saw.
Well, I'm just stating this for the record. It's the will of the court, the majority is the will of the court of the majority. I'm just saying that I'm advocating more emphasis on the rate than it would be anything else, being the fact that the taxpayers are going to be the one that having to pay it.
No, I know, that's real good. Yes, sir, I understand, and
But what if somebody besides those 2 law firms come in and bids very low? And actually, you're going to go and give it to them because they're, say, at a 7%, but their qualifications are not, you know.
No, and Commissioner, maybe.
you most
You know, I
certainly
think
need
rate-
to.
Rate is not the best all the time.
This
you
is
know,
not
sometimes-
RFP, it's actually an RFQ, right?
It's an RFP, it's a proposal, but it has, you have to be qualified to meet those criteria in order to be considered. That's what.
But here's my deal, is you're already giving them
RFP
point
with you so
structures
they
for
can consider it.
qualifications, ability to do the job. You're doing all that, so you're ranking them all the way through. My only question is, at the end of the day, when you come down to price, when you only allot 10 points for price, yet you've already ranked them on all the other categories. You give them max price, max points or not. At the end of the day, 10, I don't think is adequate. I think it should be a lot more fair. It should be comparable to qualifications, price qualifications. And that's my personal position. Again, I believe, I respect the democracy of the court, and the majority will win. But in this case, I still state for the record that the qualifications and everything should have equal value. It's nothing we're flipping. It's the taxpayers that are flipping it.
That is certainly up to the court to consider.
I would entertain the court to consider, instead of oral presentations, maybe 20 points.
On the fees as opposed to the presentation?
10% to a presentation, because again, we've dealt with all the firms out there. I respect all firms. I think both of them are capable of doing it. I just want it fair and equitable to the taxpayer. And I wish both of them the best of luck.
No comment was made by the commissioner that he felt that we felt that this had been determined at our last meeting.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Now, what prompts us being here is, first of all, to make it part of the record that what you directed and approved, the 2006, is presented to you as supporting documentation. That's it. What prompts us is item B. There are two issues that remain unclear from the 2006. That is that on September the 9th, our tax assessor collector, the Honorable Paul Villarreal, came and asked for an expansion of the services and scope of work. We want to know if the court is going to permit those expanded services to be included in the 2006, because the 2006 would have been limited. This expands the services required of the firm, who's ever hired, and he explained to you as to why he needed those expanded. So we need direction so that we can release this packet to interested
Marty, when did
vendors.
he present that?
I don't have no.
Also on September the 9th.
September 9th.
He was here. He explained to you, I don't know if he's still here today,
I think
that he had asked, and this document was presented to you.
It'll help us.
The black being what was in 2006, and the blue being what he was requesting on expanded service.
So we're looking at the 2006 factors plus the additional factor.
No, the 2006 only that in the scope of services, you would replace it with what he's expanded as opposed to what's there.
Okay.
That's what we need direction on.
Do you need that in the form of a motion?
Yes, B1. Need approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor of A1, 20A1B2, indicate by saying aye. 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 Motion carries unanimously.
And item 2, in the 2006, there was no form of agreement attached to the packet. We're asking for the court to allow us to attach a form of agreement that will be subject to legal review as to the form. That's it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion incorporating 20A1B1 and 2, then indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
And for the record, on item A, that was merely restating what had already been approved. So then we go on to no action on item 3, unless there is by the court. And going on to item C, the staff was directed on 9/23 to come back so the court could decide on the selection and designation of the scoring committee.
I think that there's enough of an interest and concern that we ought to have the entire court present or constituting the committee at the time that we vote. But of course, we're open for discussion. Any member of the court would desire to make any comment?
I feel that the Commissioner's Court and the county judge should be the ones making the decision on this.
Okay, so you will designate yourselves as a committee. Okay.
Hold on. I'm going to remove myself from the process. I'm not going to grade it. I know there's no legal reason why I can't. I've covered it with Steve Crane already. But I'd like to defer my, I guess, my participation and identify a replacement. I don't know if that needs to be stated now, or we could just have in the wording where I just designate someone in the process.
Appointed Commissioners Court.
Well, if we probably ought to do it now, either a member of the court or a designee. In this case, only the designee for County Commissioner Precinct
4. If we can list it at that, I'd appreciate it, Judge.
And Judge and Commissioners, one other issue, just so you'll be aware of it. If you designate yourselves as a grading committee, that grading committee will have to be meet in a noticed open meeting.
So what?
The grading committee will have to meet in an open meeting.
No, and it should be.
Duly noticed.
What about the issue involving County Commissioner Precinct 4 wanting to designate a representative for him?
Judge, I have a concern about that only because if it's all elected officials, I don't know how one elected official can designate somebody to act on his behalf if that is an elected official's vote.
Well, why don't we approve the motion subject to your looking at it and giving us a legal opinion at our next meeting?
That's my motion then.
Second.
All right, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I've also disclosed for you in the background that after this was settled, I will not participate. My staff, which have been identified, which is Ms. Garcia here and Ms. Betancourt, who was here last week, will be under the direction of Mr. Guerra from here on. Okay? Thank you.
We'll continue.
Thank you, Marty.
We'll continue.
We'll continue because they have been under his oversight from the beginning. Thank you.
The next one is, let's move on to item number 4.
I believe we've done the consent agenda. Have we? Yes. Yes, we've done the consent agenda already.
Oh, so we already took care of this one?
Yes.
All right.
We've done 4 already.
All right, then let's move back. Item number 6.
Morning, Judge. Bobby Villarreal with the County Judge's Office. We have an update to the Hidalgo County RMA strategic plan by Pilar Rodriguez. He's the executive director of the RMA, and he has Louis Jones and Eric Davila as well.
Commissioner, Joseph, can you do it?
Yeah, I can do the meeting.
Ándale.
Okay.
Ya te vas a ir tú, ¿verdad?
Sí, tengo que irme.
Ya son las 10:59.
Yeah, I better get out of here.
There you go. Morning, Judge and Commissioners. Pilar Rodriguez with the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority. We were last here in April of this year giving you an update to our strategic plan. Since then, we've had an amendment to it, which the Board of Directors approved last week. The only thing that has really changed in our strategic plan is our financing ability for the project. The original strategic plan was based on an intermediate traffic and revenue study. Since then, we have conducted an investment grade traffic and revenue study. The net result of that is that our revenues are up approximately 25% from the intermediate grade. Our costs, however, have also gone up 10% for the project, and that's due primarily to utilities. We've gotten a handle on the underground utilities, and so we've seen some costs go up because of that. What does that mean is that when we were last here, we told you that we would have to go back to the Texas Department of Transportation and ask for $343 million to construct the State Highway 365 and the International Bridge Trade Corridor project. That has, because the revenues are up, our ask has been reduced to $331.4 million, or $33.14 million for 10 years. So that's the big change in the strategic plan. Our ask is less to TxDOT, which also means we have more local participation. For the 2 projects, we'll be participating locally with $319.3 million, versus TxDOT, $282.6 million for a total of almost $602 million. So that means we're leveraging more money locally, which we think TxDOT will look upon favorably because we have more stake in the project. And that, in summary, is the update to the strategic plan. We've got some minor edits to the document, and we'll be providing the Commissioners Court with a final revision in the next week or so of that plan. Entertain any questions you may have.
I know the RMA is not directly dealing with the issues with Highway 68. I know it's a state project at this point in time. It's just a question, knowing that there's been some negative publicity about displacement of families, dwellings and all. Do you know if that project, it's going to continue moving forward regardless of the opposition, or is there a plan that the state's looking at on potential other realignments or adjustments to that?
What we've done, the authority has visited with TxDOT on the project because there have been some concerns from a lot of the property owners along the study corridor. And we've recommended that the Texas Department of Transportation look at some alternatives to try to, and we think there's some room to work around some of those issues. They may not be able to entirely address them, but they can probably work with them.
But it's not set in stone. There's still some alternatives?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure about that.
Yes, sir. What they're doing is, the authority did a lot of work back in '09, and so there were some alternatives that were developed that happened to address those issues. So we've gone back and recommended that they look at some of those alternatives that were already in the drawing board.
Hey, Vale needs to step in real quick. Can we pause for a second?
Sure.
Judge, Commissioners, and I apologize, we are under some time constraint, and so I'd like for the court just to temporarily suspend the item that we're addressing right now. If we can go to item 20A, number 4. 20A, number 4. And that would be pursuant to RFQ contents action on the designation appointment of evaluation committee for the scoring and grading of statements of qualification received in response to the RFQ Professional Architectural Consulting, design and construction of courthouse and judicial building. We do need the appointment of an evaluation committee for this particular item.
If you recall, this is an RFQ specific to the consulting services needed on the assessment and review and reporting of the schematic designs that we now own.
Right. We either have the entire court be the committee at our next meeting, or appoint the chiefs of staff.
Whatever you
decide.
Whatever you want,
Judge, Commissioners.
Then you have to have if you designate yourselves, you must have a posted meeting.
Yeah, but it's mejor to appoint the chief of staffs.
Chiefs of staffs,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll appoint Raul Lozano.
Okay.
So you need a motion?
Yes,
Approval
yes,
on
sir.
chief of staff.
Second.
Right.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing, Judge and Commissioners, we're going to be going to the Texas Department of Transportation in the next couple of weeks to finalize our ask, and we'd like to invite members of the Commissioners Court to join us. And as soon as we get a date finalized, we'll be notifying your chiefs of staff to see if you can attend. And that's our presentation.
Any other questions, Commissioners?
We're good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You get up.
All right. Next, we move to item 7A. Valde. Okay.
Valde. Next.
Thank you. Item 7A12, no action, unless there's action required. Item 7B, I'm going to ask for Prodigy. Please come up. But I'm going to, since we are in a bit of a constraint, if you can give us the Cliff Notes version. And this is the update on the renovation of the former administration buildings, first and second floor.
Good morning, Commissioners. Real quickly, Jose Lopez, Prodigy Construction. I will let you know the project overall is about 70%. The second floor is the one that's proceeding a little more at pace right now. They we'll skip on the pictures, but just to let you know, the project still has $1,227,000 to complete it. And We are working with a contractor, even as today, we're meeting with them to try to get things resolved and move forward a little quicker.
That's the Clip Note version. We'll have a full presentation at our next court.
Thank you.
schedule. Thank you so much. Judge Commissioners, item 7C, I'm asking approval and authorization for the county judge to sign certificate of county judge of Hidalgo County, Texas relating to Education Revenue Bond Series 2014 IDEA Public Schools. Legal has reviewed. This is
Everything in order?
Everything's in order. There's no obligation or liability to the county.
to the county.
There's none?
None.
Yes, none.
Move for approval.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D for under right-of-way Cantera operating, approval for an open cut on north of Mile 7 Road and Jarachinas Road. This is in the east part of the county, or I'm sorry, western part of the county, Precinct 3. Everything is in order.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item E, I'm asking approval for the request of two 10-foot concrete bollards from TxDOT through the County Assistance Program to be installed on the west side courthouse to prevent damage to county property.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item F, I'm asking approval to accept Western Union money orders in the amount of $1,000 and $192 to settle restitution claim against Edgar C. Villanueva.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And item 8, we have the Honorable Norma Garcia, our County Treasurer, with, yes, ma'am.
Algo que Mingo quiere ir al eco.
Somebody was talking to me, I'm sorry.
Comer quiere Mingo.
Actually, no. Good morning. Item 8A is discussion, consideration, and approval regarding the multiple party pledge agreement between Hidalgo County, Lone Star National Bank, our depository bank, Lone Star Investment Sub Nevada, Inc., and Wells Fargo Bank.
Approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Yes, legal reviewed it, by the way.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then, of course, the next item is 8B, discussion, consideration, approval regarding the ongoing investment policy per Chapter 2256 of the Local Government Code. There are no changes to it. It was reviewed. I recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the other one is the approval of the authorized broker-dealer list as per Chapter 2256 as well. No changes there either.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Judge Commissioners, item 9 is for the 139th. There's a request to reimburse Judge Flores in the amount of $185.50, and this was for travel expenses.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second of 9A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 10 is under the HR Department, Ms. Cortez. The first one is Child Protective Court. This is to facilitate court reporting services, and this is a way for us to offset the cost. And so what we're asking is to delete an administrative assistant 3 position in the amount of $32,769, along with the interdepartmental transfer and revised salary schedule reflecting such.
Move for approval.
Move for second.
We have a motion and a second of 10A, 1, 2, and 3. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 10B, Tax Office.
10B is the approval of the following personnel actions. To delete slot number 0015, budget at $47,703. It's an accountant 3 and also with the auto allowance of $1,500. To delete slot 0023, deputy clerk 2, budgeted at $36,020 and an auto allowance of $750. And to create slot 0160, an accountant 4, budgeted at $52,002, and also an auto allowance of $1,500. To create slot 0161, administrative assistant 3, budgeted at $30,000, and to increase an auto allowance to slot 72, inventory specialist 1. Presently, it's $2250 to $4721. And approval of the revised salary schedule.
We have a motion.
Approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Alde, what's the max on auto allowance?
Item 11A is approval of the following expenses in accordance with exiting officials expenditure policy. It's approval to purchase from CDW in the amount of $2,490.95 some software, and also purchase from CDWG $7,958 for some monitors.
Move for approval.
We have a motion for 11A. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of 11A, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B is approval to accept the Border Prosecution Unit grant in the amount of $230,000 effective 9/1 of 2014 through 8/31 of 2015.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2 is approval of resolution and approval for county judge to sign the resolution.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Number
Motion
3.
carries.
3 is approval of certificate of revenues as certified by the county auditor for the FY 2015 Border Prosecution Unit grant funds.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for 11B3. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 4 is approval to appropriate the FY 2015 Border Prosecution Unit grant funds.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 5 is approval of the following personnel actions is on slot 001, salary adjustment from $79,000 to $77,920, and also eliminate the auto allowance because the grant doesn't allow for any auto allowance. And slot number 004 is also decreased the salary amount from $78,000 to $76,420.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Number 6 is approval of the FY 2015 Border Prosecution Unit grant salary schedule.
Approval.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have the Sheriff's Office.
Commissioners, Richard Ozuna, Sheriff's Office, Hidalgo County, on behalf of our Sheriff, Eddie Guerra. 12A, it's approval to ratify action taken back in May of the 20th on the 14th, requesting consideration authorization for Hidalgo County to execute a second amendment to lease between the Bank of America Public Capital Corporation and County of Hidalgo to allow for shared equipment between Hidalgo County and external entities, reflecting the date change, and authorize the county judge to initial the date change from December 12, 2013 till November 12, 2013. It's just the month change, that's all it is.
Entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second for 12A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Under item B is the OCDEF. So number 1 is the approval of the FY 2015 overtime program agreement.
Mr. Ozuna, can we
Yes.
go back? Is there a clerical error here on 12A? It says December 12, 2013 to November 12, 2013.
No, that is correct.
It is?
It was done on that same year. The only thing, they put in there December, it should have been November, so what was signed was under
Oh,
December.
okay.
So all they're changing it is to November.
Okay.
It's just initials of the county judge, and that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Under B, number 1, on the OCDEF is the approval of the FY 2015 overtime program agreement. The investigation number SWTXS 0910 between the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, OCDEF, and the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office in the amount of $15,000.
Move for approval.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second of 12B1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Under number 2 is authorization to pay overtime reimbursement under the grant terms and conditions.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Under number 3 is the approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor for the OCDEF agreement.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And under number 4 is the approval to appropriation of funds in the amount of the $15,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all we have. Thank you very much.
Next item, 13A, our tax office.
We'll do it fast.
Thank you, sir.
Can you put it on? We got two presentations real quick, tax and motor vehicle. Does it include motor vehicle after that? Or we can do
We'll
that?
have to go back up.
They did it for a reason.
Okay, the annual report for the Hidalgo County from, I'm gonna get just started on this. Okay. Tax collections for, total collected for 2013, 2014, Hidalgo County. We collected $171,312,778.17. Total revenue dispersed to the Hidalgo County minus the attorney fees was $169,229,127.52. The next tab, 2012, 2013, for the current collections date from last year, we collected $148,463,571.56. For 2013, 2014, we collected $152,712,401.60. A total increase over last year of $4.2 million. So we're very proud of that, and I want to thank all my managers and my staff and also the taxpayers. The 5-year comparison from 2009, 90.85, 2010, 91.89, 2011, 93.12, 2012, 93.18, and 2013, 93.57. So as you can see, it's increasing. So we're working as hard as we can to make sure we provide the revenues to the county and so we can provide services. Delinquent report for last year, the delinquent collections today was $10,655,000. This year's $10,295,000. I believe it's a little decrease of $360,000. For the chart is for 2008 was 35.21, 34.68, 33.87, 31.50, 31.14, and that's pretty much the report for the county. So I want to thank you for that. I just want to give you another brief presentation on also on the motor vehicle side. On this one here is the Hidalgo County Tax Assessor Collector Statement of Revenue Collections. As you can see on the top, you know, we're very lucky. We have a lot of people that likes us, so they always come make a big old line there so that we can make sure we provide the services. But
come visit.
They're very patient, and we want to thank them. Our county is growing. We're up to 550,000 registered vehicles and about 350,000 properties. So out of the 44 cities and schools in county, we collect for 42 at our office. So we're very busy. I'm going to have Mr. Castilleja, our motor vehicle director, just go over the report as soon as we can. As fast as we can. Yes, this one.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Mrs. Fong and Mr. Guerra, Mr. Crane. I'm Santos Castilleja, Motor Vehicle Manager. I'm here to present the Statement of Revenue Collections regarding the Motor Vehicle Department. These collections are from different motor vehicle transaction services, and these services include, on the screen here, 722,000 different types of transactions that were recorded in 2013. As of 2014, from January through June, we already have 414,386 different transactions processed here in our office. These are transactions such as, of course, the title and initial registration of motor vehicles. Registration renewals are the bulk of our services, but also include temporary services, temporary permits, handicap plaque cards, and of course, specialty license plates. This is the breakdown of each fee. The fee for an average passenger vehicle is $72.75. 16% of that amount stays with the county. Of course, this fee will go up $7 in March 2015 as we begin the One Sticker program. We will collect the state's portion of the inspection fee at our office, and it will appear as if our office is charging a little bit more for each renewal. We had 549,205 registration renewals in 2013. On the bottom there, you have the actual title breakdown. Each title is $28. 21% of it stays here in the county. Total net registrations, commissions totaled $11,833,000. Those are the actual funds collected from motor vehicle commissions. An additional $810,000 was collected from title commissions. That's actually 162,158 titles that were processed through our office. By adding the miscellaneous collections, which includes 76,000 of fraud inspection fees, that's 1,900 different inspections our fraud department processed. Total collections is about $12.8 million. Where's that? $12.8 million. Adding the RMA collections of $5.4 million brings our total collections that stay within the area to about $18.3 million. $126 million was collected for the state. The majority of that is sales tax, as you can see, $91 million. The total amount collected at our office, grand total, is $144 million. As you can see through some of our graphs here, our collections continue to grow throughout the years. We're averaging of about a 5 to 10% increase each year. We're getting a huge support from our subcontractors as well. Over 60,000 renewals were processed at our HEBs and, of course, Guzman and Fred Loya. That's going to conclude our presentation.
Slow down, that was some of the...
All these here?
No, the other. Okay. Some of the people at our office.
I'd just like to thank you for having me, and if you have any questions.
Mingo wanted me to mention that we have a long line in Mission too.
Okay, Mingo, we're going to take care of that. I know we're going to create express lanes, and I appreciate the support, Commissioner.
Move it faster.
Thank you.
Okay. We need approval of 13A.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second of 13A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
You got another one?
13B are the approval of the interlocals.
Oh, yes, on that one, we talked to legal, and I believe we're going to make some changes also on the effective date, so we'll bring it back sometime next week.
No action. No action.
Thank you.
Okay, 14, Health and Human Services. Olivares.
Sir, 14A, under requesting approval to support our UTRGV grant application to Methodist Healthcare Ministries of South Texas Incorporated, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services will assist in providing existing facility and equipment to support SCOPE grant. If this grant gets approved, it'll allow the medical school to set up psychiatric, healthcare, and substance abuse program, and to use the facilities of John Austin Peña if made available at that time. Now, this is all pending future funding, but I need to get permission so we can send a letter of support and give authorization for the judge to sign off on the letter. That's what action is needed on.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on 14A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On 14B, sir, the only thing is that we have a public hearing on October 14th to review the LPPF again. There was an error in my part that we started the hearing a few minutes earlier than posted, so we have to redo the hearing again on the 14th of October, and that'll be advertised as indicated by legal counsel.
Okay.
That'll be all for today, sir.
15A, adult probation.
Morning, Commissioners. Rodolfo Perez, Adult Probation. 15A, Prostitution Prevention Court Hope Program. A, approval to accept the Prostitution Prevention Court Hope Program grant award from the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division in the amount of $150,000.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
B, approval of certification of revenues as approved by the County Auditor's Office for the Prostitution Prevention Court Hope Program grant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second of 15B. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
C, approval of appropriation of funds.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
2, monitoring compliance for high-risk offenders program. A, approval to accept the Monitoring Compliance for High-Risk Offenders Program Grant Award from the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division in the amount of $50,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
B, authorization to pay overtime reimbursable under the grant terms and conditions.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
C, approval of certification of revenues as approved by the County Auditor's Office for the Monitoring Compliance for High-Risk Offenders Program Grant.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
D, approval of appropriation of funds.
Move for.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
16A, Urban County.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Our first item on the agenda is requesting the approval of change order number 5 for construction contract with Vanguard Engineering under the General Land Office contract for a Precinct 1 project known as a Delta Area Connector, Colonias Chapa North, Chapa South, and Acre Tract. The request is to approve the change order to increase the contract amount by $54,230 utilizing the GLOW funding.
Is that your recommendation?
Yes, sir, it is.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second to 16A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item A2 is consideration and approval to authorize the county judge to sign any and all documents associated with this change orders and/or amendments pertaining to this contract.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 16B is requesting the approval of change order number 3 for the construction contract with FJW Construction under the General Land Office contract for Precinct 2 projects known as South Fork Drain. The change order will increase the construction contract in the amount of $196,377.48.
That is your recommendation, right?
Yeah, it is by recommendation, yes,
Move
sir.
for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B2 is consideration and approval to authorize the county judge to sign any and all documents related to this change order and/or amendments related to this project.
Approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 17A, Planning Department.
Let TJ.
Good morning, Commissioners. TJ Arredondo for the record. First item is D. Flores subdivision. It's up for preliminary approval with a variance request. This is in Precinct 1. And the advisory board did recommend approval for the subdivision.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is Magdalena Estates, Precinct 4. It's a 64 single-family lot subdivision. The advisory board did recommend approval as well for preliminary.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is Sandmeyer subdivision, Precinct 1. It is a one-lot residential subdivision.
For approval.
This
We have a
subdivision's up
Second.
for,
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
next item is preliminary also, Ellis number 6 subdivision, Precinct 3. It is a 10 single-family lot subdivision. We are recommending approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is Aurora Valley Phase 4, Precinct 1, 92 single-family lot subdivision. We're recommending approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mais Acres number 5 is up for final approval. It's a 29 single-family lot subdivision. We are recommending approval.
For approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the final item is also for final approval, Fidencio Garcia Estates, Precinct 4. It's a 3 commercial lot subdivision. We are recommending approval as well.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 18A, Precinct 3.
Mingo or Mona? Who's coming up?
Come on down.
Let me go.
Gate number 3, ¿cómo?
Derek Jeter.
Curve number 3.
The land of milk and honey, Precinct 3, Commissioner. Okay, let's go with item 18, Section A. It's approval of interlocal agreement between the City of Mission and the County of Hidalgo for road improvement project. This is between Moorfield, between 2 and 3 Mile Line on Moorfield.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And number 2 is approval of ICA project in accordance to Texas Government Code, Section 791.014, to overlay Moorfield from the 2 to the 3 mile line.
For approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And this is the check that was supposed to come in from the Iowa project, and we received the check. Now we need for Commissioner's Court to accept this. It's on item B, requesting approval to accept donation from Wayne Crosby operating in the amount of $1,422.24.
Move for approval.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
I abstained last week on this one because these people give me some work, but can I vote on accepting the check?
I would prefer you abstain.
Okay.
Okay, so I can still make the motion then.
Right.
Motion for approval?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. One abstention for the record. Joe Flores,
Monica.
Precinct 3 Commissioner.
Monica,
Item 2, yes,
thank you. No, Monica's getting it, Mingo. Thank you.
I think Commissioner signed it already.
Yeah, that was
No.
for last time,
Yes.
not to accept.
Okay. Number 2, approval of certification of revenues as certified by county auditor for the revenues received from the Wayne Crosby operating for road repairs of mile 5 1/4 on Iowa Road.
Move for approval.
We have a motion. Oh, and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion, one abstention, Commissioner Joe Flores.
And number
Motion
3,
carries.
approval of the 2014 appropriation of funds into Precinct 3 road maintenance in the amount of $1,422.24 for road repairs of Mile 5 Road and Iowa Road.
Move for approval.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Another abstention.
Thank you.
Commissioner Joe Flores. Item 19, oh, we have 19A already.
We've done all of 19, and Commissioner, if I'm
We're down
mistaken.
to,
We're on-
item B1 for the Sheriff's Office, and 20B1.
We did 28-1.
No, I think, Commissioner,
All of budget has been done?
28-2.
it is 20A2. Marty?
Yes. 28-2 is presentation of the responsible vendor submitting the lowest and best bid as detailed in the tabulation sheet herein, meeting all specifications and requirements. And this is for cationic rapid setting emulsified asphalt. We had 12 packets requested, 3 submitted, and we're recommending Ergon asphalt out of Corpus Christi.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second for 28-2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And item 3 is acceptance and approval to exercise the county's option to extend the third and final option, one-year option under the same rates, terms, and conditions with Brown & Brown Lone Star Insurance Services, DBA Alamo Insurance Group, for consulting services for self-funded insured group health project.
Approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
4 has been done already, and on B, for the Sheriff's Office, we are going to take no action on A and B. They have been informed. We'll bring it back at a later date. Item C for the County Clerk, presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court the responses received in connection with the RFP, which is Records Management and Document Imaging Process. As you can see, we had 3 vendors. They are averaging CoFile Systems 95.6, Property Information Corporation 76.4, and Xerox Services at 77.6. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Requesting authority for purchasing to proceed to negotiate a best and final offer contract with the #1 ranked CoFile Systems.
Approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all I have. Thank you.
We do have closed items?
Yes, we have one item.
Okay, item 21, Commissioners Court may go into closed session pursuant to Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, Sections 551.071 and 551.072, discuss the following matters. Do I have to list them?
Yes.
A, real estate acquisition. B, pending and/or potential litigation. Civil action number 713 CB 00262 of Ezekiel C. Jurado et al. Versus Guadalupe Sheriff, Hidalgo County and Hidalgo County. Item D, claim of Adan R. Garza Item E, claim of Ezekiel Casanova. 21F, claim of Sergio Rodriguez. And 21G, claim of Gabriel L. Ventura. We'll be in closed session.
item.
Premium.
I don't need to do that. Thank you.
We were supposed to already.
Okay, we're coming back from closed sessions into open session.
Open session. Commissioners, 22A, real estate acquisition appropriation for same, no action. 22B, pending and or potential litigation, no action. 22C, civil action number 713-CV-00262, Ezequiel C. Jurado et al. Versus Guadalupe Trevino, Sheriff of Hidalgo County and Hidalgo County. Commissioners, I'd like for the court to entertain a motion to settle with one of the plaintiffs in the Jurado et al. Versus Guadalupe Trevino, Sheriff of Hidalgo County and Hidalgo County, with Mr. Miguel Flores in the amount of $12,500.
Move for approval.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Commissioners, all appropriate paperwork will be sent over to the auditor's office for processing as well as the treasurer's when completed. Item 22D, claim of Adan R. Garza. Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $7,500.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
If accepted, Ms. Linda, it would be payable to Adan R. Garza and Lawn Car and Associates. Item 22E, claim of Ezequiel Casanova. Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $875.80.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
$875.80. 22F, claim of Sergio Rodriguez. Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $1,528.57.
For approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And item 22G, Commissioners, just for the record, the Almaraz Law Firm has presented a claim on behalf of Gabriela L. Ventura. There is no action at this time. Just wanted to state that for the record.
Before we adjourn, we need to go back to 22C.
Oh, 22C. Jurado? Okay, so I asked for action to be taken on one of the plaintiffs, Miguel Flores, in that dollar amount, $12,500. I'd also like for the court to give Ms. Valerie Glass authority to settle, to continue settlement negotiations with the balance of the plaintiffs. And in this particular case, we don't have to name, okay, so with the balance of the plaintiffs.
So you need a motion?
Yes, for the
Move for
authority.
approval.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That is all we have for today, Commissioners.
Motion for adjournment?
I'll move.
Second.
We got a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Valde, Commissioners Court's next week again? Or are we skipping? Just for the record.
No, we do not have court next week, right? No, we do not have court next
Okay.
week. There's no court. We'll send out a